You go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Just Because Wrestling. Jack, my friend, we are post Double or Nothing. How do you feel?
I'm a lot more optimistic than I was in the last long while. To be fair, it's kind of reinvigorated my entire view of pro wrestling at the moment.
Yeah, like I said to you earlier, it's like we've been shown what wrestling can be now, and we've been woken up to everything. I feel like I've had an outer body experience or something. It's like we've been shown what can be. You know?
Yeah. It's
It's
one of, if not, you could argue it's the best pay-per-view in years. You could make the argument. There's other ones up there. A lot of the takeovers would be there.
You can certainly make the argument. I'd argue for sure that it's possibly the most important pay-per-view in the last 10 years.
Yeah, we'll probably go. That'll probably pan out now in the future as to we look back on it. To me, All In was pretty important as well.
That's what I'm saying. All in would be up there as well, and I think I would probably put. See, I don't know. All In was interesting because it was a bet. It was just to see if they could do it, and Double or Nothing was to see if they could do it professionally, as if could they do it to a standard where where you would want to watch it weekly,
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I would just argue that without All In there would not be a Double or Nothing, and I think
of course. Yeah, no, of course. I totally agree.
The importance of that is just shown in that statement.
I totally agree with you. I mean, All In is just as important, and if not more important. I mean, there's certainly arguments for both. But yeah, I mean, what? So happy with the show you were?
Oh well, if you weren't happy with the show, then you sir are dead. I
did see. Okay, this is the issue, right? So naturally, I was scrolling through Twitter, the next day.
It's a toxic thing to do, but
I know it's I know what it is, but it's like there's some kind of self-loathing thing that I need to feel negative about people or something. I don't know, but so no, I was the next morning. I was working, unfortunately, and so I was up early in the morning and I was scrolling through, and I was just looking at people's reactions, and generally positive. I'd have to say about 85% positive reviews, whereas the other 15%, right? I mean, and this is what really just pissed me off. The other 15% were people complaining about the obvious shots taken at WWE throughout the show, which we'll talk about in detail. But people were complaining about how AEW took shots at WWE, and they were like, "Oh, they're taking shots at WWE. It's a company run by a former WWE superstar. One of their marquee matches was between two former WWE superstars. Their main event featured a former WWE superstar. AEW." Well, I can understand what they're saying, but could they not just leave it?
But would they have the same criticisms of WWE? WWE are going to Saudi Arabia, and their main event features a former WCW star, and Chris Jericho was a former WCW star. Booker T was a former So who cares where they came from and where they honed their craft? They're here now. Doesn't make a difference where they were beforehand.
Yeah, I know.
It's not as if it was like TNA where they're signing every WWE superstar left, right, and center that they can possibly find. They're who doesn't want to sign Chris Jericho? Who doesn't want to have the brother versus brother. Like,
no, but even to TNA's defense, like, I mean, if you have the option to sign Kurt Angle back in 2006,
no, Kurt Angle is fair enough, but they signed the people like fucking Tyson Tamko.
Oh, I know, yeah, I know,
and people like that. Like, it was just because they worked in WWE, they signed people as well. You know.
Yeah, I know, but like I'm sure AEW is going to get the same criticism to a degree. I mean, with the likes of Sean Spears, say, who wasn't the biggest star in WWE. I mean, he was still fairly big and fairly known.
But like the same people who complain about that were the same people who complained about, oh, Ty Dillinger isn't getting a push. I know all of a sudden he turns in, he leaves WWE, he becomes Sean Spears, and people are complaining because the same people are complaining, being like, oh, they're just using former WWE stars, whatever. Like, well, what do you want? Do you want him to have a push?
In fairness, Sean Spears is actually a bad example because he's actually not signed. He clarified that he hasn't signed anything with AEW, so he's actually not a good example. But yeah, no, I mean, I get what you mean. Like, as in, like, people are so hot and cold with everyone.
But like, that's just wrestling fans in general. Like, the people.
And I know it's a terrible thing to say when you run a wrestling podcast, and we are wrestling fans. But like, sometimes I just hate wrestling fans so much.
Well, there's some people like I don't know. Like, there's some. I think it's just in any fandom and anything that you're interested in, you are going to get fans that just annoy you. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Star Wars, and there's Star Wars fans that annoy me. You know, like.
But like the one thing I always hark back to is soccer fans, right? Because I don't, as you know, I don't follow a soccer team.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's better to not I think it's better to just watch soccer neutrally, because you can enjoy both teams to an equal degree and enjoy good soccer. And I know that if you follow a team like you're a big Liverpool fan, you obviously follow Liverpool and want Liverpool to win, but you can still appreciate other good soccer players for other good teams.
But yeah, like, just like if you take the Premier League, for example, like, I appreciate that Man City are like probably one of the best teams ever. But like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like,
there's some people who can't accept that, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think to a degree that bleeds into like wrestling fandom. That like some fans become like so close-minded and so just tunnel vision on like, and I'm sure I've said this before, but I'm like they've become so focused and so what would be the word? I don't know. Just they're really set on like this one particular either style or one particular wrestler.
I don't get that. I don't get the whole like, oh, you're either WWE or AEW. They're not compete. Like, okay, they're two competitors, let's say, but it's not like the Monday Night Wars in the 90s where you're fighting over fans, basically. Like, Tuesday Night Dynamite or whatever it's going to be called is going to be on Tuesday nights. Raw is going to be on Monday nights. SmackDown by then will be moved to Friday nights. So, like, why do we have to choose which one do we like? We could watch all three if we want to.
See, that's the thing. Because that was another thing I was looking on Twitter. Because obviously, well, today is Tuesday, and Raw happened last night. And Raw got according to Twitter anyway, got very mixed reviews. Some people actually did enjoy it a lot. Some people thought it was crap.
Me being one of those, but anyway.
There was aspects of it I enjoyed, but most I thought it was bad.
I think I'm just looking at it in a more critical eye.
Huh?
I think I'm just looking at it in a more critical eye from what I saw Saturday night.
Well, like,
I suppose that's an unfair thing to do, but
I'm the same. But like, to me personally, like, I think there was more. Like, okay, like, I thought Brock Lesnar was brilliant. Okay,
he was. It was fantastic.
Brock Lesnar was brilliant. Like, Ricochet and Cesaro had a really good match.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn had a really good match in the main event.
Yeah.
But there was just like they went.
Then you got like the electric chair segment.
Yeah, and some people loved that segment for some reason. Some people really did. I, for one, thought it was dog shit. But like, Some people thought it was. Are you okay?
Yes, yeah. But something just fell. Go on anyway.
But like some people thought it was really good. But like the only like my point is, people were on Twitter saying like, when Sami Zayn obviously dropped AEW, and like the searches for AEW spiked. People were like, "Oh, the war has begun." This is like, and we can't wait for October when AEW is on TV, and like people like Raw is going to see a serious decline in ratings. I'm like, Raw is still going to be on Monday nights, and
that's not going to make sense. But
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be on a different day, so like it's not going to make a difference.
By right, like it might increase ratings because AEW might pique people's interest back into wrestling, and people will be like, "Oh, might as well go check out what's on WWE as well," since they're not on at the same time. So like it probably helps them to have AEW as well,
Well, I think the right minds, I think the people with the right mindset towards that, one being AJ Styles, who said it recently, is that competition is only going to make things better. Like he's like, there's no point trying to compete with WWE because WWE is made. I mean, WWE is always going to be WWE, but like offering an alternative will just make things better for the business,
Yeah, that's right. Like, I think AEW will do a lot to change wrestling in the sense that, like, and I said this to you off camera, that like, or off air, that like, I think the one thing WCW changed in the 90s was how wrestling contracts worked, about the guarantee contracts. Like, they were the first company that gave out wrestling guarantee contracts, and then it forced WWE to do the same. And it's the same with, like, I think it's going to be the same with this whole like independent contractor thing compared to employee. Like, as far as I know, AEW treat their wrestlers as employees. They'll get health insurance. They'll get stuff like that. And I think it will force WWE to change their attitude on the independent contractor, I think.
Yeah, potentially. And like AEW in its infancy, like it's only been a thing for, I suppose you can say, the 1st of January. I mean, you can argue even from Saturday night is when it began, but you can make several arguments to when it began, but I mean, there's no doubting that it's brand spanking new. And already they're making a fantastic PR move, and it's with everyone, but to be specific, with Jon Moxley, because obviously we all seen the news that Jon Moxley is going to New Japan. He's going to be competing in New Japan fairly soon. And Tony Khan has come out and said that yes, Jon Moxley is exclusive to the AEW, and when we go to TV in October, he will be exclusive to AEW, but from the time being, he's not going to be doing anything, so he might as well go out and make some money for himself. So,
well, yeah, that's fair enough, because like,
no, but I'm saying in contrast to WWE, who literally have like people sitting at home doing nothing, and they're just like, and rather than give them their release to pursue their passion, they're literally just forcing them to sit at home and do nothing because they have nothing for them. People
like Luke Harper, even
like Sasha Banks, like just people who are currently stagnated because WWE have nothing for them, or they're in disagreement or something, and like rather than just give them their release, give them what they want, and obviously within reason, but if all they want is their release, then like just give them their release. If they don't want to work in the company anymore, they shouldn't have to work in the company anymore. And like, it's just like, if you wanted to leave your job in the morning, they're not going to turn around to you and tell you, no, you're still working here, but you must you have to stay at home. And like Tony Khan, in fairness to him, knows that Moxley is exclusive to him, but like he's like, look, but he's going to be doing nothing for the next 4 months, 5 months, so he might as well go out and do something for a while,
yeah.
and in the process make him a bigger name, so that get more people attention on AEW. You know, it's like it makes so much sense, and it just it baffles me that like and plus it works for all parties, because like even say New Japan now, like Jon Moxley is probably the most talked about wrestler in the world today as of right now, and he is going over to New Japan. He's competing in the Best of Super Juniors final against Juice Robinson for the IWGP United States Championship. If he wins that, then like that elevates the US title in New Japan, because you have the biggest star in wrestling today, Jon Moxley, or as of today, Jon Moxley, carrying around this mid-card title in New Japan. Like, eyes will be on him, eyes will be on the product, and like, it doesn't matter. Like, he can hold it for a month, 2 months, it doesn't matter. Once he drops it again, like, I mean, whoever he drops it to, whether it's back to Juice or it's to someone new, their stock is automatically elevated.
It's the same with like Jericho and Okada. You have Jericho competing for the. You okay?
Dog went nuts.
Did you get savaged by your dog?
No, she went crazy.
It's the same with Okada and Jericho though at the moment. It's the same with Okada and Jericho.
Yeah, I know.
That like there's no point in having Jericho sit at home for 5 months when you know you can go out, and it seems silly to say to make Chris Jericho a bigger name, but like he could. Jericho is known for finding a way to make himself even bigger than he is each time, you know.
Oh yeah, I know, and it's crazy. Like, it's crazy that he can still to this day, nearly 30 years in, like elevate himself even more. Like,
yeah, the only risk you run is them getting injured. That's the only risk you run.
Yeah, but Jericho's smart that he wrestles a style that he knows won't, like, he evolves his moveset and his style to.
Well, yeah, Jericho is, but like I'm worried about Jon Moxley going to New Japan.
Oh yeah, I know. Like, he's only going to New Japan for, like, he's not going to wrestle that much, like, you know, like he's not going to be the G1. Like.
I hope not.
I couldn't say. I mean, I could be wrong. Who knows? But I doubt it. I mean, I hope so. If he is, I'd be happy. But
yeah, I just don't want him to hurt himself.
Yeah, no, I don't either. But I think no matter where he goes, no matter where he wrestles, there's always going to be that fear.
Yeah,
it's Jon Moxley. Like,
that is true. That is very true. So, do you want to talk about? Do you want to go through the Double or Nothing card?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Before you do, I just want to mention something that's kind of non-wrestling related. Just while you pull up the card or whatever you're going to do.
Yeah. There 2 minutes, please.
What's that?
Hold on there 2 minutes.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to say what I was going to say anyway. So, friend of the show, Craig Sykes is former Irish Army man. Is this weekend is running our local marathon, 27 miles, with his army gear, with 15 kgs on his back. And for his cousin who has cerebral palsy. So there's a donation page up on will be up on our Twitter page. Just there's a GoFundMe. It's they have a goal set, and yeah, so people can go onto our Twitter and find the GoFundMe and donate.
Okay, I'm back.
Are you back? Yeah. So yeah, do you want to go through AW's Double or Nothing, so?
Yeah, no problem. So obviously first up on the pre-show was the Casino Battle Royale. a really good match. I mean, it was fun. I mean, not like obviously not the best battle royal ever, but it's no Royal Rumble, but it was still pretty fun. I mean, I think the rule set was probably a small bit convoluted, but like still it was really good. It was really fun. It had some really cool moments. You had
there was a lot of unique aspects to this battle royal. Like you had the dude, I forget his name, the guy with no limbs.
That's Thomas is his name.
Yeah. You had like who was a really, really big guy? He did like a suicide dive outside the.
That's Ace Romero. I was like, that's the thing. Like I was gonna say, like I don't like we know like the names in it that we knew, like Jimmy Havoc and MJF and all that kind of stuff. But like, I think this was good for like just giving people a taste of the people we don't know, like Ace Romero, like Dustin Thomas, guys that we wouldn't be familiar with otherwise, and they stood. I mean, Ace Romero, especially to me, was like he stood out to me. Like the guy is huge, and he's doing suicide dives. That was like he was crazy. Joey Janela nearly killing himself again.
Well, it wouldn't be Joey Janela without him almost dying on TV.
I'm sincerely worried for him versus Jon Moxley.
Yeah. Oh, him and Jon Moxley, is it?
Yeah, because they teased on BTE, and I'm so scared.
Oh, I said this a few months ago when Moxley got his release. It's still weird calling him Moxley. But when Moxley got his release from WWE when he was Dean Ambrose, I said this to you. Everyone was on about like Ambrose Havoc and that being the dream match. I was like, I really want to see Ambrose Janela.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that. There's going to be a Fighter Fest match announcement tomorrow, I think, or it might be tonight. You know, depending on the time difference, I'm not sure. But and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Ambrose versus Janela or Moxley versus Janela.
Ambrose.
That's gonna take a while to get used to that.
Yeah. Moxley versus Janela will be really, really interesting.
So yeah, like obviously we had the joke. There was the big question mark over who the Joker was in the Casino Battle Royale. Who was number 21? Who was going to get the big strategical vantage point? And it was Hangman Page, who had to his match was with Pac was called off due to contractual issues with Pac. So yeah, Hangman ended up winning, earning himself a future AEW World Championship match, or he's going to be one half of the inaugural match.
Yep. And we now know what the other half of the inaugural match will be as well, and that happened in the main event. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Hangman Page got a really big pop. I was actually genuinely surprised, even though he was announced for the show, but I just thought that he was going to be on the main show. And it was a big moment, you know. I would imagine that Page was highly disappointed with the Pac match falling through, but I think this is the best spot you could have given him.
It makes me wonder though, like what the original plan was
for Pac and Page.
Well, like for everything, like if Hangman wasn't meant to be in this match, who was going to win? You know?
Yeah. But before, was the Battle Royal always going to be was it always the person who wins gets the title shot?
See, that's what I'm trying to like pinpoint. I'm not sure, was it announced before the match got cancelled, or was it announced after the match got cancelled? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was announced before, but that could just be like the AEW officials knew that Pac wasn't going to be able to make it before, like way before any of us did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, it genuinely could have been Moxley.
It could have been, yeah, genuinely could have been.
That probably could have been the idea. And then they decided just to have Moxley come in at the end.
Yeah, and like there was I was gonna say, like apparently, like I read somewhere that the plan was we were going to get Hangman and Pac, and I think Pac was going to
win, and he was going on to face Kenny, and
yeah.
The problem was that Pac was going to lose to Kenny, and he would still be Dragon Gate champion by then. And I don't know if it was Pac or Dragon Gate or someone, either of the two, like had issue with that. So
I think it was Dragon Gate. I don't think Pac had that big of an issue with it. Well, he probably had an issue with it, but I think it was, both companies. I think it was both parties had, a say,
Yeah.
So Adam Page won the match, last eliminating MJF. And yeah, he's going to be one half of the very first AEW World Championship match, which should be very interesting. And we'll see what happens with that. I'm just going to skim now. We're going to have, then on the pre-show, we had Kip Sabian versus Sammy Guevara, which was a very good match, short match. Nothing too out there. Just a really good singles match between two really good athletes.
Just a decent match,
And it was a good way to kind of introduce two guys that probably aren't that known around to a wider audience. Kip Sabian getting the victory. Sammy Guevara is an absolute freak of an athlete. He was doing things that were just insane. They were crazy. So yeah, Sabian gets the win. Both seem to be set to be future stars, and that was one thing about the show that was is worth noting in my opinion is how many guys are already being poised as future stars of the company.
Yeah.
No,
they all can't be future stars in a company.
No,
we can only have so many stars.
Oh yeah, I know. But I'm saying there's no shortage, of potential. Of potential,
Like you look at someone like MJF, I think is destined to be a star in that company. Someone like Joey Janela. You have other people like you said, Sammy Guevara, Kip Sabian, Jimmy Havoc.
I really hope Jimmy Havoc's one for me. I became such Jimmy Havoc, such a big Jimmy Havoc fan over the last year and a half, 2 years, and I just sincerely hope that he gets the credit that I know that he deserves. He is standing and especially at stories, long-term storytelling. He's pulled out probably the best stories I've ever seen in the English independent scene. So
him and Ospreay and him and Paul Robinson and stuff like that are rivalries that will go down in history and progress and in Europe independent wrestling.
And even short-term ones with Mark Haskins and stuff have been outstanding. So hopefully they all get their due. So Sabian beat Sammy Guevara. Then we had the first match of the main card, which was first we had a promo to close the pre-show from the Elite, Cody, the Bucks, Brandy, and Kenny, and that was the first jab at WWE with I think it was Kenny. Yeah, Kenny said that they had sold out with 20,000 seats, and Cody turned around and said, "This place only holds 12, this place only holds 12,000." And I think it was Nick Jackson turned around and said, "We're on pay-per-view. We sold out 20,000 seats." That's how pay-per-view works. You round up, is what he said. Which was a fine jab. That was a lot more subtle than what would come later. So then we had first match of the main card, which was 6-man tag team action. SoCal Uncensored, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky defeated Strong Hearts, Chima, T-Hawk, and Lindemann. And another really good match, excellent match to open the card, fast-paced, lots of action. And yeah, really good match, really decent match.
Might I just add, or might I just say, right? Christopher Daniels is closer to 60 years old than he is 40 years old.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Like,
I think it's between Christopher Daniels and Minoru Suzuki for the best 50-year-old wrestler.
What's Jericho's? Jericho 59 or 49?
I think Jericho's 49, yeah.
But yeah, Christopher Daniels is still that freak athlete. Like, it's terrifying. Like,
as in, like, athletically speaking, you know?
He's still, like, at 50 years old, you could argue he still has the best moonsault in wrestling.
Yeah, you could.
Like, it's terrifying. Like,
and like they have their new SU have their new finisher, which is the BME, or the best Meltzer ever, which is like,
yeah, I saw that. It was the Meltzer driver and best moonsault.
Yeah, which is, hilarious. But yeah, like, this was obviously, this is what we expected to be. It was a showcase for the OWE guys. T-Hawk and Lindemann, especially T-Hawk and Lindemann, and
who were really, really good, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. Like,
yeah, me too. They were class.
Yeah.
So yeah, SCU get the win, which is, that's fair enough. I mean, like, either or would have made sense. But it was a really good match, which is all that mattered. Next up, we had the women's match, the women's triple threat, or so we originally thought, until Brandy Rhodes came out when Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, and Kylie Ray were all in the ring. Brandy Rhodes' music hit, and she came out in her ring gear, and everyone was like, "Oh no, she's going down the evil authority figure route of into the match." And she said, "I know this match can be great, but I want it to be awesome." Cue Awesome Kong to a huge pop.
That was something like that was the first kind of huge moment, kind of like an oh my god moment. Probably in the company's history, but like it was just really cool because like I can't remember the last time I saw Awesome Kong wrestle.
I think the last time she wrestled, to my knowledge anyway, was the Royal Rumble 2012.
Would that actually have been the last time she wrestled?
I'm not sure what her indie schedule has been like, but like
last time she wrestled on TV, maybe.
Probably, I say almost definitely.
Did she go back to Impact after WWE?
No, she never did. No.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, she still looks great. Like, she still looks like she could still go.
Like, she still looks Awesome Kong, like,
Yeah.
And, it's since come out that she has signed with the company.
Oh, has she? She's actually a full-time member now.
Yeah, she's an AEW roster member now.
That's really good. Like, that's a good signing there.
Yeah, no, big time. I mean, I actually got goosebumps when it happened. I was like, holy shit, Awesome Kong. Like, I mean, especially someone like her who like hasn't been seen in, what's it been, 7 years probably?
Yeah.
Like, to a major extent.
Yes, it's like it's her. I love when like people come away from the business and then they go back into the business.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where she goes from there. I was quite surprised that she didn't pick up the win after making her surprise entrance, Um, but still, Britt Baker winning doesn't bother me either. You know.
I think it makes the most sense. I think Britt Baker is probably going to be the spearhead of the AEW women's division.
Yeah.
I'm totally 100% fine with her winning.
The one thing I'd say about this is, and it's the only, like, all Cody's shots at WWE, I really don't bother me. The only one that bothered me was the one that he said about Bayley. And he's like, oh, we're not going to be forcefully nice, like, and have wacky wavy inflatable tube man or whatever. And it was just a shot at Bayley. But then, like, if you look at Kylie Ray, like, it's very, you could draw a lot of comparisons to Bayley and her.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would argue, like, I know we all know what Bayley is. We all know her character.
Yeah,
I would argue that Kylie Ray is that character on steroids. It's not steroid, like MD or something. It's like Kylie Ray is ridiculous, and I mean, I haven't seen enough of Kylie Ray to really make a decision on it.
That's not a knock on Kylie Ray. I'm not criticizing her character or anything. I'm just saying, if you're going to call one hokey and all that, then it's just a bit like the pot calling the kettle black in this situation, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I was just, I mean, yeah, Kylie Ray is certainly something. Like, as far as first impressions go, I can't see myself being that big of a fan of hers, but I mean,
I liked her. And she is good in the ring, so I don't mind that.
Yeah, not taking that away from her, but I'm just saying, like, those kind of gimmicks just don't, you know. I mean, I can see their appeal. They're definitely good for if bringing in a younger audience, but just, I don't know. I mean, like, maybe she'll grow on me. I don't know, but so yeah, Britt Baker wins, and yeah, I think AEW is slowly building a really, really good women's division.
Yeah.
Next up, we had tag team match: Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans. Best Friends pick up the win here in what I thought was a really good match. I saw a lot of people complaining about this match, though, that it had like no meaning and that it didn't serve a purpose. But like, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but like, you know, not every match is going to have a meaning when you have no TV to build to it, you know?
Yeah.
So they did the best they could without any story, and they put on a really good match. So, you know, why, like you could argue that, like, SCU and the Chinese lads, like, they had no story either, but like they still went out and put on a phenomenal match. So, you know,
well, to me, right, this match served a purpose to me because I had no idea who Jack Evans was, and now I've been made aware of who he is and what he can do.
Yeah.
So, therefore, it did its job. You know,
he looks like he'll be very good to the very good in the company. Like, so, you know.
Yeah, he's crazy. But the big talking point came after the match when Best Friends won with the Dude Buster, and then after the match they hugged it out. Lights go down, lights come back up, and there's two men in the ring who no one knew. This prompted "Who are you?" chants. And the tag team would proceed to beat down both Best Friends and Angelico and Jack Evans. Then the ring was surrounded by masked minions, and it looks like there's this new evil force in AEW, this new kind of culty thing. I found out that they are known as Super Smash Bros on the indie scene, and
I would imagine that they will not be allowed to call themselves that once they go on TNT.
Yeah, I'd imagine so too. But I think, like, they were baby faces on the indie scene. They were like just, you know, video game characters. But I'd imagine they're both getting name changes and gimmick changes. But I mean, it's intriguing, certainly. But I felt like it could have been done differently to make it more impactful. Like at least have like commentary know who they are.
Yeah, at least smarten up JR to know who he is, you know?
Yeah, because like the commentary was silent for it.
Yeah.
Which just made the "Who are you" chants even more audible.
Yeah.
And we were all everyone was very confused. So, yeah, that was fine. I mean, and again, like the women's division, AEW is slowly building up a very solid tag team division as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was fine.
Yeah.
Next up, we had, in my opinion, the weakest match in the show, which was the 6-woman tag team match between Hikaru Shida, Ryo Abe, and Ryu Mizunami, beating Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura. Yeah, I mean, the match was good. I mean, it wasn't bad, but like on a match of this, on a card of this caliber, the weakest match for me of the lot, and that's not a knock on the women, because Ryu Abe, or was it Ryu Mizunami? I think it's Ryu Abe. Ryu Abe is 21 years old, and she looks like she's going to be outstanding. She was the star of this match. Hikaru Shida was really good too, but yeah, like genuinely just wasn't too hot in this one.
Yeah, it was just kind of. I think it was always going to be like that. Like you can just, in a show like this, it does need to be paced, and I think this match had the purpose of pacing the show. You know, I think six man or 6-woman matches are always hard to tell, especially if they're not like teams anyway. Like, for example, SCU were in the 6-man, but SCU are a team, so like it makes more sense. But like, it's hard when you throw just 6 random people together for a 6-man. It's just hard to tell a story with it. So like, I think going into it, I kind of thought this would be the worst match on the show. Not to say now being worst match on the best pay-per-view ever potentially is not a mean feat whatsoever.
No, I mean, like, it was still a perfectly serviceable match.
Yeah,
but just, you know,
it would be on the higher end of a lot of pay-per-views, like for in terms of match quality. But like as I said, it was just that this match produced good match after good match after good match that this kind of just got lost in the shuffle.
It also produced possibly the biggest botch of the night, with the timekeeper prematurely hitting the bell, which can cause a lot of confusion and took away from the match. But look, it was fine. It was grand. Served a purpose.
I thought your prophecy was coming true. I had to like double check to see if Earl Hebner was the referee, because I thought something was going on there. Ring the bell.
Yeah. They jumped the gun. But
the MGM grand screw job.
Yeah, the Vegas screw job. So yeah, that was fine. Next up, we had what you could argue was match of the night. Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the actual match itself, this was the big nod, or the big jab at WWE. So Cody's music hit, and that's fair enough. And this part of the stage rose up to reveal a very familiar looking throne, which was clearly Triple H inspired.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes would look at it, and at first I thought, that's strange, because I was like, it looks a lot like Triple H's throne, obviously, but then I was like, strange he's not doing anything with it. So then that was fine. You walk down to ringside, and Brandy would lift up the apron to present Cody with a sledgehammer, which is about as on the nose as you can get. And Cody would proceed to demolish said throne with said sledgehammer, which came to mixed reviews from fans.
Yeah. I think there's a bit of poking the bear in terms of that. You know, obviously it was very Triple H inspired. Now, I would argue it, and I might get a lot of flack for this, but it does kind of make sense with the whole build up to the match of the end of the Attitude Era, stuff like that. It didn't have to be so heavily Triple H inspired. But I think something like that was just symbolizing the end of the Attitude Era more so than more so because
I would argue it's a lot simpler than that. I think it's because Triple H literally called AEW a piss-and company during his Hall of Fame speech, and Cody was just getting his own back.
That's fair enough.
I wouldn't say that it was like Cody symbolically destroying the Attitude Era. I mean, you could say that and you could argue that point, but like, I think it was just a jab. I don't think it was malicious. I don't think it was mean spirited. I think it was just all in the fun of show business.
I think and I think genuinely Triple H himself probably enjoyed something like that. He enjoys controversy when it came to his career. So I would imagine he'd love to see something like that.
I bet he thought it was funny.
Yeah. So
I thought it was funny too. I thought it was pretty cool. But
I wouldn't be going crying over it, like.
A lot of what people were saying was they were upset that it was Triple H. They were like, why is Cody going after Triple H, who was the guy producing NXT takeovers? Why isn't he going off after Vince McMahon? And I'm like,
what's he going to do to symbolize Vince? Like,
yeah, exactly. That's what I was like. Triple H is way easier.
Yeah, like what's he going to do? Just beat up an old man?
Blow up a limo. I thought it was cool. But the match itself then between Cody and Dustin was everything I thought it was going to be. It was emotionally supercharged. It was
and this is what Cody does best. Like he referred to himself as an emotional wrestler the other day. That like you can have Kenny who like athletically is a lot like better than Cody and stuff like that. But what Cody's best at is telling stories, like storytelling in a ring.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's where like Cody. That's what makes Cody's matches very good. Like like his matches are never really remembered for their in-ring credentials. I mean, some are, but he can't. Like, he's not a bad wrestler, but like
most certainly not. But
it's just he's outstanding at telling stories and
that's his strength, is telling stories.
Yeah, and that's why it's such a good thing that he's at the helm along with the Bucks, obviously, and of AEW, because you're going to get if he's producing them, which I'd imagine he'd have some input as to what's going up there. That he's got you're going to be getting some high quality storytelling on AEW. I'd imagine. Yeah. But the match itself was really good. Dustin Rhodes can absolutely still go even at 50. He's up there for the conversation for best 50-year-old wrestler.
Yeah, most undoubtedly. But he bled so much in this match. My God.
It was like a tribute to his father. It was
it genuinely was.
But, I remember he was bent over the mat, and literally it was like I've never seen it pour out of someone's head that much before. At that rate. The
only time I remember something like that is, do you remember when Eddie Guerrero wrestled JBL?
Yeah, and was that
Judgment Day 2005?
Yeah.
And he clipped an artery when he did his blade job.
Yeah, but that was to me, right? This one. So with the Eddie Guerrero one, all I can remember is him turning around and his face is covered in blood, and obviously that's shocking. But with Dustin, you literally see it pouring out of his head, and it was gushing out of his head like a waterfall.
But the only there was people tuned into the match halfway and thought that Dustin wore red face paint all over.
But that was the thing, he was wearing red face paint half.
Yeah, he's wearing red and black half.
Yeah, and people were saying like, we can't tell what's blood and what's not anymore.
Yeah.
But
it was really good.
Cody gets the win after well, first he hits Crossroads, Dustin kicks out. Dustin hits his own Crossroads, Cody kicks out. Then Cody hits Din's Fire, and then another Crossroads to pick up the victory. Cody leaves the ring. Dustin's left sitting in the corner, and it looks like Dustin's done. But Cody comes back, gets the mic, and says, "You don't get to retire here. I've got a match booked for Fight for the Fallen. We've got a match booked for Fight for the Fallen, and I need a partner. I don't need a partner. I don't need a friend. I need my big brother." And it's official. We're getting Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes versus the Young Bucks at Fight for the Fallen.
That will be a really, really good match, and that was a very emotional moment. Yeah, it was fantastic. There's nothing else I can say that'll do it justice. It was just a fantastic moment and a fantastic match with two fantastic wrestlers.
I was very close to tears with Cody's promo. Genuinely,
there was people crying in the crowd. Genuinely, like that's like a standing ovation when it comes to emotional storytelling in wrestling. Like there was people in tears because of it. It was a genuine moment. Like you had these two brothers who like were genuinely, and it is a real life story, that they were never close. Dustin is 18 years older. When Cody was born, Dustin and Dusty weren't on speaking terms. I think the first time Cody met Dustin was when he was like 10. So here you have like this moment, and I would imagine that like they've grown closer since Dusty's death, and I would imagine that like moments like these they probably cherish. So it was a very surreal and a very emotional moment in that match.
Yeah, it was. It certainly was. It's one of the most emotional moments of it's probably the most emotional moment of the year so far.
Yeah.
It's the most emotional moment to me since the Golden Lovers reunited.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. I would even argue that it's more emotional, but
it probably is. Yeah, it probably is. But
did you see Kenny actually at Starcast? He was asked about them trying to sign Kota Ibushi. Did you see that?
No.
He was asked in the Q&A about did they try and sign Kota Ibushi before he signed New Japan, and he literally couldn't answer the question. He broke down in tears.
Why?
Because he was saying that he started it by saying like no, because he knew he couldn't ask Kota because it's his he's just about to hit his moment in New Japan, and I couldn't take that away from him and stuff like that. And he literally broke down in tears as he was saying it.
Yeah, like it's gonna be crazy because I promise you there's going to be another Golden Lovers reunion somewhere down the line.
Yeah,
and it's going to be even more
emotional.
And I don't know if we can take it. Before I move on to the next match, I skipped over a segment before we got to all this. Jack Whitehall was in the ring, and randomly to reveal the AEW World Championship. And he brought down the legendary, the one, the only Bret Hart to do the honors. Bret Hart cut a sketchy promo, as only Bret Hart can. And like my favorite line was that like the first champion will be decided at the next pay-per-view or in one of the other pay-per-views in the months following.
Or whenever.
It will be decided at some point in the future. Who knows? But
he was probably fresh off beating up Earl Hebner backstage anyway. So
yeah, probably. But, what's it called? He introduced Hangman Page, who came down to be part of the ceremony. Hangman was then interrupted by MJF, who said that he should be, who cut one hell of a promo and said he should be in the match. He should be fighting for the world title. He will be the face of the company. All this kind of stuff. He referenced Bret Hart getting attacked by a fan at the Hall of Fame. Then MJF was cut off by Jungle Boy and Jimmy Havoc, who beat him up alongside Hangman Page and just beat him to the back, basically. And then Bret revealed the title, and it's a really good-looking title.
Yeah, very good. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's unique, there's no other title that really looks like it.
Yeah. So,
I found out 34 hours were spent on the stones.
I saw this as well, yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, really nice looking title. There's some obvious New Japan influence there. I mean, there's some sort of resemblance to the IWGP title. And yeah, I mean, yeah, really cool looking belt. And yeah, happy with it. I'm happy to see what other belts they come up with, because judging by this, they certainly have an eye for design. But anyway, moving on. Then we had the penultimate match of the night, co-main event, which was the Young Bucks defending their AAA World Tag Team Championships against the Lucha Brothers, and this was, in my opinion, match of the night.
Yeah, I would agree. It was just insane from the get-go. There was like a point in the match where they did like 2 simultaneous Canadian destroyers, which was the crazy. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Being on the
yeah, it was fucking what a match.
Phoenix for me was the MVP of this match. He was absolutely on fire in this match. Just all 4 guys are so good. It's just
yeah. There's nothing else you can say that'll do it justice. You just need to go watch this match.
You haven't. I tweeted out that it was the greatest tag team match I've ever seen. That might be a bit kind of premature, but it's.
I would imagine. I would say it's up there.
It's up there. It's definitely up there for recent memory. I think.
I don't know if Dave Meltzer has the ratings out yet, but I would imagine this will get 5 stars.
I reckon this will probably get 5 stars. If any match gets 5 stars in this card, it'll be this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Young Bucks retain with a 1-armed Meltzer driver, which was pretty cool, and it's official that they will have the rubber match in AAA at a AAA event in next month in June. I think in Mexico again. So that'll be interesting. And yeah, I mean, apparently both Pentagon and Phoenix got injured in this match, but it's nothing too serious because they haven't been pulled from any of their they've been pulled from a couple of their really close dates, but other than that, they haven't been pulled from next month's cards and stuff, so I don't think it's too serious.
Yeah.
What's crazy is just how busy Pentagon and Phoenix are, because they said it was found out that they wrestled 18 hours before this show.
That's just absolutely nuts. I see Northeast Wrestling announced their next show will be headlined by Jon Moxley versus Pentagon. So
I don't think it's in August, I think. So
yeah, but my God, that's a goddamn barn burner of a main event. But
that's gonna be crazy.
So hopefully they won't be they're not too banged up, and it's just precaution.
Yeah, I mean, there's been nothing released, so I say they're probably okay. But who knows? So yeah, that was an absolutely outstanding match. I mean, I really couldn't talk about it. We could spend a podcast breaking down the entire match.
Yeah,
you're better off just going and watching it. Honestly, just do yourself a favor. And finally, the main event, which was Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega, with the winner being the second half of the first ever AEW World Championship match. The winner will face Hangman Page for the inaugural title. And again, absolutely excellent match, as we know these two can have, as proof of their Wrestle Kingdom 12 match. And yeah, really, really good. Just, lots of callbacks to stuff, lots of stuff we haven't seen.
Yeah.
And Chris Jericho gets the win with his new finisher, the Judas effect. That spinning back elbow that he does now, which a lot of people were complaining about, that it's not, not flashy enough or not extravagant enough to be a finisher. But like, when you break it down, say like out of kayfabe, it's pretty excellent. And especially when you have someone like as strong as a seller as Kenny, who literally like said it like someone's just decapitated him. So yeah, Chris Jericho gets the victory, and he will take on Hangman Page for the inaugural AEW World Championship. But Jack, that's not the real story here, is it?
No, I don't even think people will remember that from this night. I think it's what transpired after it is what stole the show. So I think it'll just go down as the night of Jon Moxley.
Yeah. So if you don't know, Jericho got on the mic after the match and said that and demanded a thank you from AEW for making the company relevant and making it what it is and all this, blah, 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 blah. And the next thing, the crowd started to react to something, and people's heads started to turn. And what was that in the crowd? And next thing, the camera cuts, and who is it but none other than Jon Moxley making his way through the crowd to the ring. And oh my God, the absolute goosebumps of this. I mean,
I love the way he came down in this, kind of like the exact same route he used doing the Shield. Like, come down from the rafters, come out by the side. And,
yeah.
Yeah, it was just a special moment,
Yeah, 100% it was. And Moxley gets in the ring, takes out Chris Jericho with the Dirty Deeds, or we don't know what it's called now, but hits the Dirty Deeds, then hits the referee with the Dirty Deeds, and then he turns his attention to one Kenneth Omega and proceeds to beat the holy hell out of him.
Yeah, and once they started brawling, it was like so surreal that you were witnessing this,
I loved watching BTE afterwards and seeing Cody and the Bucks and Billy Gunn and BJ Whitmer and Brandy and stuff all in Gorilla, and Tony and all in Gorilla, and their reaction to Moxley coming down. Like they were loving it just as much, and they knew that they had lightning in a bottle at that stage.
But see, apparently a lot of people didn't know. I think very few people knew. Like, I know JR has gone on record and said that he didn't know. And like, I don't think many of the backstage people knew either. I think it was just kind of like Tony, Cody, and the Bucks, and Kenny possibly. Well, Kenny and Chris obviously. But other than that, I don't know if many other people knew after that.
Yeah, I don't know either, but he's here, and the wrestling world better fear that he doesn't burn it down in the process.
Yeah, it was an absolute fantastic moment. I think it was a moment that will elevate AEW to even more heights, and I just can't wait now for the next show. It gave us a reason to tune in and talk about the show afterwards.
Yeah, I just can't wait for the Jon Moxley Kenny Omega match. That's going to be bellissimo. So the closing shot of AEW Double or Nothing, their first ever pay-per-view, is Jon Moxley standing aloft the poker chips, having driven Kenny Omega through the stage. And oh boy, we are in for something special over the next few months and the next few years, hopefully. And that was double or nothing, and yeah, happy with that. I'm confident they're going to keep raising the bar and keep outdoing themselves, and I just can't wait for them to be on TV.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah. So look, as much as it would be perfect to stop here and not like ignore everything else that's going on, the wrestling doesn't stop. And Jack, we have another show this weekend.
I'm running out of brain space. Like I'm running out of like memory in my head when it comes to these wrestling shows. So yeah, NXT Takeover 25 is this weekend. I want to go through. I just want to ask before we go through the card, just to go through some of your highlights of NXT Takeovers now that we're heading on to the 25th show.
Well, NXT Takeover has certainly been a highlight of many a weekend, many a wrestling weekend. I think highlights for me specifically were like, I mean, just harken. I suppose you could say like my first Takeover memory, I guess, like was Nakamura versus Zayn. Like that was my first. I think that was the first. Like I've seen Takeover matches before, but that was the one that kind of turned me on to NXT, like in total, like and like as a whole.
Yeah.
That one certainly, like, because I remember I watched that match and just I don't know, I thought it was the best match ever.
I think the one that the show that did it for me was the first Brooklyn show. Like it was you had Bailey, Sasha wrestle that night, and it was a fantastic match. You had Owens and Balor wrestle. Jushin Liger opened the show with Tyler Breeze. Like it was just, that was the first show, and obviously it was historical because it was in the Barclays Center and they didn't think they'd be able to sell that out, and they did. But it was just that was a highlight for me. Owens and Zayn, or not Owens, Nakamura and Zayn is another.
I think
Gargano, Ciampa, all that.
Yeah, Gargano and Ciampa, obviously, and like I think with each takeover, there's something new to be added to like the list of like historic takeover like moments. Like each one could be added to a list. And before we get on to the card itself, I have prepared a quiz.
Oh. Go on.
To celebrate 25 takeovers, I've come up with a little takeover quiz for you, my friend. So, are you ready?
Yeah. Hit me with it.
First question is, what was the first match on a takeover?
Oh, Jesus.
And we're doing this
the first ever match. Not the first ever main event, the first ever match.
First ever match. And just so everyone knows, we're doing this over the phone, and I'm trusting Jack not to Google anything.
No, I won't. First ever match. The first ever main event was Neville versus Bo Dallas, wasn't
it? Incorrect.
Okay.
That's actually my next question.
Okay, fair enough. I would imagine that it is...
Do you want a clue?
Go
on. Neither man is with the company now.
There's a lot of them.
I know that doesn't really narrow it down, but
Did both of them make it onto the main roster?
Yes.
Okay. Ty Dillinger versus...
Okay, well, okay. You're not gonna get it from that, so I'll make it even easier for you.
Go on.
One is retired, and one is signed with New Japan.
Yeah, okay. 2 seconds. One is retired and one is signed with New Japan.
Yep.
I have no idea. Who the fuck's in New Japan? Juice Robinson. What was his name? CJ Parker.
Nope.
Oh, who is it?
The first ever match on a takeover, on the inaugural takeover, was Adam Rose versus Camacho. And if you don't know who Camacho is,
who's Camacho?
He is now Tangaloa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Fun fact for you there.
That was a fun fact.
Yeah, Tangaloa, only known as Camacho in WWE. Now one half of Gorillas of Destiny, one of the best tag teams in the world. So,
yeah.
Tangaloa was on the very first match of an NXT Takeover.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and Adam Rose, who is now retired. Next up, what was the first ever main event of a takeover?
Was I close with Bo Dallas and Neville?
Yeah, you were close.
Was it Neville and Sami Zayn?
No.
Was it Bo Dallas and Sami Zayn?
No.
No, I don't know. I'm not going to get it.
It was Adrian Neville versus Tyson Kidd for the NXT Championship.
That's a fun match, actually.
Yeah, they had a really good rivalry down in NXT.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Next up is, what was the first takeover to be held outside of Full Sail University?
Takeover Brooklyn 1.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Held in the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
Next up, what is the longest match in NXT Takeover history?
Was it the second War Games match?
Correct.
Oh.
The second War Games match took place at NXT Takeover War Games 2. It lasted 47 minutes and 10 seconds.
It was between that or the Iron Woman match with Sasha and Bayley.
Actually, Sasha and Bayley did hold the record for a number of for quite a while.
Yeah.
Then it was broken by the first War Games match, and then that match was broken by the second War Games match. Yeah,
cool.
But it's been broken. Sasha and Bayley's match actually is like a lot further down the list now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of Johnny Gargano's matches have outlasted it.
Fair enough.
Next up, in the same vein, what is the shortest match in NXT Takeover history?
Oh. The shortest match in NXT Takeover history. Yeah. Oh, it's Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno.
Correct. At the exact same takeover. NXT Takeover War Games 2 featured the longest and shortest matches in NXT Takeover history.
That's pretty good.
Riddle versus Ohno lasting 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Next up, what takeover was the first to feature a main event without the NXT Championship?
Was it? Do I have to guess the actual event, or do I have to guess the main event?
I'll accept either or.
Was it the Iron Woman match, Sasha and Bayley?
Correct. The Iron Man match between Sasha Banks and Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship headlined NXT TakeOver Respect, which was the first time that the NXT Championship wasn't featured in the main event. Next question. How many countries have hosted a takeover?
3. Canada, the US, and the UK.
Correct.
Yeah.
Next up, who is the oldest person to compete in a match at TakeOver?
Jushin Thunder Liger.
Correct. He was 50 when he competed at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 1. in a winning effort against Tyler Breeze.
Fair enough.
You were on fire.
Yeah.
How many times has the NXT Championship changed hands at Takeover?
Oh. 12?
12 is incorrect.
How many?
The NXT Championship has changed hands 8 times out of 22 defenses.
Fair enough.
With one takeover not featuring an NXT title match and one match for the vacant title, which was the last takeover.
Fair enough.
And finally, last question. Who holds the record for most takeover main events in a row? Not main events in general, in a row.
Finn Balor?
Incorrect.
Who is it?
The answer is Samoa Joe with 5.
Yeah, he was going to be my next one.
Yeah, Samoa Joe had like 5 NXT takeovers in a row, from NXT Takeover London to NXT Takeover Toronto. Funnily enough, he only faced 2 men in those 5 main events, both men being Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura. So yeah, that was my little takeover quiz to celebrate the 20th takeover. So moving on, I suppose we better predict the card. Thankfully, it's only a takeover, so it's only 5 matches, so this won't take up that much time. First up is a match I'm quite excited for. It is Matt Riddle versus Roderick Strong. Who do you have and why?
So, I'll admit I haven't been keeping up as much with NXT in the recent weeks. Sorry?
Do you want me to bring you up to speed?
I was just about to ask, is Roderick Strong still part of UE? Because I know there was kind of like tension there and stuff, but So
basically the storyline was that there was tension between Roderick Strong and Adam Cole in Undisputed Era. And also Undisputed Era has been feuding with Matt Riddle as of late, along with Johnny Gargano. And Roderick Strong, to prove his allegiances and to prove that he's still a member of the team, went out and attacked Matt Riddle in the infamous Full Sail parking lot, where all the attacks seem to happen, and injure Matt Riddle. So yes, Roderick Strong is still fully member of UE. Matt Riddle is nursing an injury going into this match, in kayfabe terms anyway. And yeah, that's how the match got set.
In that case, I'm going to go Roderick Strong.
Okay.
Because I feel like Matt Riddle needs to take a loss at some stage, and you could play up the injury and the numbers game in that sense. So I'm going to go Roderick Strong.
That's fair enough. I'm going to contradict you and go Matt Riddle, because I think I get what you're saying, that he needs to lose, but he lost his last takeover match. So
who did he lose to?
Velveteen Dream.
Oh fuck, he did, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go Matt Riddle. So I thought he was still undefeated.
No, he lost to Riddle to Dream.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm going Matt Riddle because you can make him look like a superhero in this one. Have him like be injured, like literally Roderick Strong. Like I would have him have a rib injury, and like Roderick Strong's whole shtick is he's the messiah of the backbreaker. So you could just have him backbreak him to death, and then have Riddle still fight back and get the win, and have him look super duper strong. Because I think potentially by year's end, Matt Riddle will be NXT champion potentially. So yeah, Matt Riddle for me. Next up is again another match. Like I'm excited for all these matches. Is the NXT North American Championship match. It is NXT North American Champion Velveteen Dream defending his title against Tyler Breeze. Who'd you have him like?
I'm going to go Velveteen Dream because I think I just don't think Tyler Breeze is permanently staying on NXT. I think he's a big name in terms of NXT for a Dream to beat, and I think it's just nice on the 25th show to bring back Tyler Breeze. So because he's had some big moments on takeovers, so I think it's just another big win for Velveteen Dream.
I agree with you. I'm also going Velveteen Dream. I'm not sure whether Breeze will be full-time NXT or not. I mean, I hope so, but you'd have to think that it probably isn't. What I think probably happened was this was meant to be Dominik Dijakovic, and Dijakovic has since gotten injured. Yep. And I think they were probably like, who are we going to fill in? And they decided just to bring Breeze down since he's doing nothing anyway.
Yeah.
I think the match will be really, really good. I think it's going to be literally dripping charisma. It's going to be so good.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing Tyler Breeze be Tyler Breeze again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I hope that more people, like obviously, Takeover and NXT in general has gotten a lot bigger since Tyler Breeze has been there. So I hope more people get to see what Tyler Breeze can really be, like what he was back in, the old days when like Neville and Sami Zayn and Tyson Kidd were kicking around. So, Velveteen Dream to retain though. I mean, it's just a big veteran win for him, to establish, just to further his name,
Yeah.
Next up, another big exciting match. It is a fatal 4-way ladder match for the vacant NXT Tag Team Championships. It is Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, versus the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, versus the Forgotten Sons, Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. Who do you have and why?
I'm gonna go with the Forgotten Sons, and I really don't know why. I don't know. I feel like it just has to be a fresh tag team. I think UE is too predictable, and I think it's a toss up between the three. And I just like the Forgotten Sons and their gimmick and their characters. So that's why I'm picking them.
Again, I agree with you. I'm also picking the Forgotten Sons, but I've actually put some thought into this and put some reasoning behind it.
Fair enough.
So I don't think it's going to be UE, because I think their time in NXT is slowly coming to an end. I think over the next year they'll probably start to wind down and begin to phase out. And with them gone, there's a big heel faction hole in NXT that can be filled by the Forgotten Sons.
Yep.
Also, Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan aren't going to win it, I don't think, because Burch spent some time over in NXT UK and Lorcan's on 205 Live as well.
Yeah.
So I can't see that working that well. So I think what's going to happen is the Street Profits are a way better at chasing, at being challengers, at being big underdog baby faces. So I have Forgotten Sons win here with the numbers advantage with Jackson Riker on the outside as well.
Yeah.
And then have Forgotten Sons versus the Street Profits as the big tag team feud heading into the summer. And
I think this will be a fantastic match either way.
I'm
really looking forward to this.
Yeah. It's going to be so good.
Yeah.
So, Forgotten Sons for the win. I think it makes the most sense. And next up, it is the NXT Women's Championship match. It is NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler defending her title against Io Shirai. Who do you have and why?
Every time I pick against Shayna Baszler and think that she's going up to the main roster, she wins. So I don't know.
I literally had this exact same thought earlier.
Yeah, I would imagine. I just don't see there being a window now for Shayna Baszler to come up. Not for another while anyway. So I reckon Shayna Baszler is going to retain, but it's going to be with help from Jessamine Duke or Marina Shafir and stuff. So it's going to be it's going to give Io Shirai more reason to chase.
Yeah, and again with this one, I don't know, because I'm the same as you. Each time I'm like, okay, this is the time she's going to lose, and she's going to go up, and each time I'm proven wrong.
Yeah,
and I just don't know with like I don't know how many times they can really pull the Duke Shafir thing out the bag, you know, with like because there's getting heat and then there's getting like, you know, heat. There's getting like there's actually turning people against you to the point where they're like,
go away heat, like.
yeah.
The only thing is, right, the only what could be a possibility as well is you could get you could have the like you could do it this time around, let's say, and have people be pissed off about it and stuff. And then next time around in the rematch, they go and do it again, and then you could have the Kabuki Warriors or whatever they're called come out and even the numbers.
Yeah, you certainly could. And you know what? That actually makes sense because let's say the Kabuki Warriors win the WWE Tag Team Women's Tag Team titles in the next couple of weeks. They can fulfill the promise of having them be defended on NXT by having them go down and possibly defend them against Shafir and Duke. So that certainly makes sense. So I still don't know, because like it makes sense. Like my logic has always been, okay, I think Baszler's going up, so I'm picking against her. But now I don't think she's going up, so I think it makes sense to pick against her now because she can hang around for a bit and continue the feud and just I don't know. I'm gonna pick Io Shirai just to be different. I think it could go either way. Yep. I'm really not sure. I think this might be the hardest one to predict. Because you just don't know Baszler.
Yeah.
They've almost painted themselves into a corner with her, with her being so dominant that like it's almost like Asuka, that they like. I don't want her to get to a stage where she literally just she just vacates the title and leaves.
Yeah, because there's no one credible enough now to beat her, you know.
Yeah, but like I mean, like say with Asuka, there was plenty of times where that was true. There was no one enough around that you felt was necessary, was good enough to beat her. And Ember Moon came along, and she felt good enough to beat her, and they decided to have Asuka vacate and then have Ember Moon win the vacant, which just, I mean, you could have made Ember a way bigger star.
I agree.
So I just hope they don't go down that route with her. I hope they just have Shirai or someone beat her, just to elevate someone else's stock, you know.
Yeah.
So that's fair enough. And finally, the main event of the evening, a rematch from last month's Takeover. It is NXT Championship match. NXT Champion Johnny Gargano defending his title against Adam Cole. Who do you have and why?
I'm going Adam Cole because I think I don't know. I think it's just it's a typical Adam Cole thing to ruin the title reign, and it's a typical Johnny Gargano thing to lose his title reign, you know, so quickly after winning it. I think Gargano's better as a chaser, especially when he's a babyface. So I feel Cole will win. We'll get a blow off at the next takeover, and then Gargano will go up.
Yeah, definitely. I could see it. Again, I don't know with this one. Like it makes perfect sense for Cole, like as the smarmy heel that he is, to win this one. Plus, I've picked 0 Undisputed Era wins, and I don't know if having all 4 members lose on one takeover too damaging.
I just think the 25th show is like it has to end on a title change. Just in my opinion.
Like, I feel like Adam Cole should hold the belt at some point.
Yeah.
Especially the way he came into the company.
Yeah.
And like, what's interesting is, like, I told you off record that WWE released top 25 NXT Takeover moments to celebrate, in preparation for this event. And Adam Cole's debut was like third. It was like,
oh, really?
Yeah, it was like so high up on the list.
Yeah.
I don't know, because like I could see Gargano carrying it for just a bit more, because he's done very little with it. But I think I'm kind of worried that like they literally just gave him the title, give him the title. You know what I mean? Like, just to like, give him his big win. I don't know. I'm gonna go with my gut. My gut's telling me Gargano's gonna retain. I feel like Adam Cole should win, but I think I'm gonna go with Gargano to retain. But I want Adam Cole to win.
Fair enough. Yeah, I could see Gargano retaining. I think it's a hard match to call. I think it'll be, if good, if not better than the match that they had at the last Takeover. So I'm really looking forward to that match as well.
I don't know how they top their last match, because their last match was one of the best Takeover one of the best matches of the year.
Oh yeah, but like still, you just don't know,
Well, yeah, I don't know. Like, it would certainly be memorable if the final shot of Takeover was Adam Cole standing there with the title aloft,
Yeah.
Or, may I propose this? Johnny Gargano wins, and final shot is him standing in the ring with the belt, looking all victorious and stuff. Everything's finally looking up Johnny. And then you get the little end credits thing, and you think it's over, and then wham! Keith Lee, out of nowhere.
Keith Lee?
Yeah, why not?
Why Keith Lee?
Because he's doing nothing. And you tell me you do not want to see Keith Lee absolutely trumps Johnny Gargano.
That would be cool. But I thought you were going to go the route of Ciampa doing it again.
No. Ciampa's... We all know what's happening with Ciampa.
Yeah. It'd just be funny if you just came out and wham.
For someone new to be established, Like Keith Lee, they're doing nothing with him. And I just think it's because they're waiting for a storyline. And, why not? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm not predicting that's going to happen, but I'm just saying, like, it'd be cool. I think this Takeover has to end on some sort of like big note. So it's probably going to be Cole winning, and I don't know why I didn't pick him, but I just have a gut feeling that Gargano's winning. So yeah, that's NXT Takeover 25. Should be an excellent show, as all takeovers are. Are you going to watch it?
It very much depends on what happens in the Champions League final, because I may be very intoxicated by the time that comes around.
Yeah, true.
If Liverpool win the Champions League final, I may be swinging from a roof somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose, you can always cheer yourself up with some high quality wrestling.
Yeah. And I might do.
So yeah. That's NXT Takeover 25. That's this weekend. Bizarrely, there's no WWE pay-per-view this weekend. It's just the Takeover, which probably a good thing, because the WWE pay-per-view doesn't have to compete with anything. And yeah, that's it. We'll be back next week to recap everything that happens at NXT Takeover 25. And also, next week is WWE Super Showdown.
Oh, for God's sake.
Saudi Arabia.
Ah.
That's what we'll have to predict. Yeah, that should be fun.
Tune in for that fun next week. That's been us. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.